Hey y'all, welcome back to Club 07 Clear. Today we're talking about virtual EMDR therapy, more specifically, 5 things I wish every EMDR therapist knew about how to provide EMDR therapy remotely. The idea for this video actually came from a question I see over and over and over on all the EMDR therapist Facebook groups and listservs. Can you do EMDR virtually? What do I need to know about doing EMDR virtually? Help, I'm doing EMDR virtually for the first time. Any tips? And yes, I've got so many because I have been doing EMDR virtually since I did basics training. In fact, I do about 95% of all of my EMDR therapy virtually. So I'm so excited to dive into this topic with y'all today. For those of you who are new here, hey, I'm Sara. I'm an Andrea certified therapist and an Andrea approved consultant in training. And if you want all the tips and tricks about treatment planning, about all things EMDR, what to do when a client is looping or there's blocked processing, please make sure that you hit subscribe. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to make this video is because I think we're asking the wrong question. It should not be, can we do EMDR virtually? We've got enough research that says yes. So instead of posing the question, can we do EMDR virtually? Today, I want to pose the question of what do EMDR therapists need to know about how to do EMDR therapy virtually well.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Now, I'll be so honest with you. Pre-COVID, doing EMDR virtually was really frowned upon. Over the past several years, we've seen a growing body of research suggesting that EMDR therapy delivered via telehealth can be an effective treatment option. So today I want to share 5 things that have shaped my own practice and that I think every therapist should know when providing EMDR virtually. The first thing that every EMDR therapist should know is that thoughtful preparation is essential before beginning reprocessing. And I know what you're saying, Sara, we're already thoughtful in phases 1 and 2 and really cautious and mindful about moving into reprocessing. Wonderful, I love it. Yes, and we need to be even more prepared and more thoughtful when we are facilitating EMDR virtually. Now, to be clear, a lot of the things that I'm going to suggest we should be doing regardless if we are doing any sort of telehealth therapy. These are like check boxes we should just be ticking off each time. We want to make sure that we know where our client is physically located. We have the actual address each and every time that we're meeting with them. And this is not to be creepy. It is in case there were to be an emergency, we can call emergency services and have them be able to get to our client. And if you ever feel weird about this, I always kind of make a joke out of it. And I'm like, hey, listen, you're sitting in your car right now. If a bear were to come up and like tap on your window, I would need to be able to call the police and report that to them. So where are you located? We also need to make sure that we have an emergency contact on file that we can call if we need to. We should have a plan for what happens if a client experiences dissociation while we're reprocessing. Now, we're doing this anyway, hopefully, in face-to-face, in-person therapy, but it becomes even more important when we are meeting virtually because we can't be there to use ourselves to physically ground them in the same way. So we are going to decide what are our go-to things, go-to resources that we want to use if a client is experiencing dissociation. We want to plan for if we lose connection in the midst of reprocessing. Who contacts who and when do they do it? Does the client finish a set? Do they not finish a set? I'm usually inclined to tell my clients, go ahead, finish your set, even if we get disconnected. Take care of yourselves, maybe use a resource, and then we will reconnect. But you have to have that plan in place, even if it never happens. I'd rather have it in place than not have it in place and be like, oh crap, later. Having these conversations ahead of time are absolutely crucial for both you and for your client, so that if the unexpected happens, you both know what your next step is. And from a relational standpoint, that preparation, that conversation, that planning together creates some predictability, creates some stability and safety, and that often helps clients feel safer going into reprocessing. Once we've covered the unexpected, I want to think about my client's space. So the second thing that every EMDR therapist should know is that confidentiality and privacy matter just as much in a virtual setting as they do in your office. As therapists, we are already responsible for using HIPAA-compliant platforms and protecting our clients' privacy. We are also responsible for helping our clients think through their own environment. Are there other people home? Is your kiddo going to be running in and out of your space and distracting you? Can you speak freely, or do you feel like you have to tamp down what you're saying? Trauma work, especially EMDR, asks for vulnerability, and it asks for a level of engagement and concentration. If a client spends the whole session wondering if someone else can hear them, that is going to impact their work. There are ways that we can try to make virtual therapy more accessible. If there are some of these concerns, like maybe they're always wearing headphones when they meet with you, so nobody can hear the conversations that we're having. Maybe they're always playing some soft music by their door. Maybe they are going to a private location in their vehicle while it is off and not moving, it's completely parked, and they're able to talk to you there. Each time you meet with them, you're checking in with where they're located anyway, so if there's an emergency, you're good to go. Before we ask if a client is ready to move into EMDR reprocessing, it's worth asking whether their environment allows them to practice privately and that they have enough freedom to truly and deeply engage with the work. And once we know that that environment is appropriate for reprocessing, I start asking a much different question. How can we use that environment therapeutically? And that is number 3. The third thing that every EMDR therapist should know is that the unique strength of virtual EMDR therapy is that that client's environment is not just where treatment's happening, it can be used as a part of the treatment. Hang with me here. Maybe they're sitting in their favorite chair. Maybe they have a lovely candle that's lit. Maybe they're in a cozy blanket or fuzzy socks. Maybe they have their dog in their lap or close by them. Rather than seeing the home environment as something that we need to work around, I absolutely love intentionally using their home environment as part of resourcing and part of phase 2. Can you look around your space and can you name 3 objects that are the color blue? Can you glance around my space? Can you find one object that helps you feel connected to me? Can you place your hands on the sofa that you're sitting on? Can you just describe what it feels like for me? What's the temperature like? What does it feel like in your fingertips? Can you go grab your kitty that I know is over there running around? Can you hold him? This is weird. Can you give him a big smile and then describe what that's like to me? So these are all of the ways that I am incorporating the client's environment into resourcing and really using it as a strength. A lot of times clients will prefer to meet from home because that is their safe place. That's wonderful. We can use that. In fact, in Calm Place, is it your house? Can you look around? Can we use very tangible aspects of your safe or calm place? Okay, and if they are home, and if there is something that happens kind of organically where they just are feeling particularly relaxed, or they're like, oh, these are my favorite cozy jammies, I just love them so much. Okay, let's turn that into an RDI. Can you just feel into that and just kind of notice your body? What does it feel like in those cozy pajamas? What's a positive belief that you have about yourself? I'm safe and I can relax. Yes. Can we slow tap? Beautiful way to resource for phase 2 using their environment. These are just opportunities that we don't have in an office setting. The fourth thing that every EMDR therapist should know is that bilateral stimulation virtually is probably more flexible than you think it is. One of the questions that I see all the time is, what is the best way to do BLS virtually? And honestly, the answer, as it always is in EMDR, is it depends. It depends on the person sitting in front of you and their unique needs. We could use tapping. We can use auditory sounds. We can use even sticky notes. I have seen people use this where you put it on either edge of a computer, and you just move your eyes back and forth there. There are also wonderful platforms where they have balls and sounds that you can use to facilitate BLS. In my own practice, I use bilateral stimulation.io. I've been using it for about 3 years now, and I absolutely love it. If you're interested in checking it out, I do have a discount code linked in the description. But regardless of the platform that you use, I think the question really is like what feels best for the client? What is keeping them engaged and distracted enough that we are taxing that working memory? Are they maintaining dual awareness? Are they staying connected to the target? And just like we would in in-person therapy, sometimes we have to tweak it. Like I've had clients who, when we practice, they're like, yep, eye movement is the way to go. And then we get in it and eye movement is not the way to go for them. And that's okay. Then we just switch to something else. The last thing that I will add here for virtual EMDR is if you are using a platform like bilateralstimulation.io or one of the others, make sure that your client is using either a computer screen or a laptop or a large tablet if you're using eye movements. Otherwise, if they're using their phone screen, they're just not going to get that full range of motion that we really want. So that's the only other tweak that I suggest. So instead of trying to find the right option, I actually think it's more helpful to stay flexible and just try to help your client find the option that works best for them. So the fifth thing that every EMDR therapist should know is that virtual EMDR changes the setting, but it does not change the importance of that therapeutic relationship. In fact, I would argue that in a virtual setting, that therapeutic relationship becomes even more important because it's just harder to maybe catch on to those cues of safety, right? It's harder to co-regulate through a screen. They might not be able to hear the shift of your breathing or notice a posture change. And so we are needing to be even more intentional about how we use ourselves, our words, our voice when we are facilitating virtual EMDR therapy. Now, of course, we are all human. I have 3 rescue beagles of my own and we foster, so I always have at least 4 dogs in my house at any given time. All of my clients know this because they usually see them and they might even be cues of safety during our session. But if one of them were to bark at a very inopportune time, I, of course, would acknowledge it, apologize. And usually what happens is that clients and I have a little bit of a laugh because beagle bays are just so goofy. So the goal is not to pretend that like interruptions don't exist. They exist for my clients too, and it's going to happen when we are not in an office setting. But our goal is to stay as attuned as possible. If there is a distraction, we want to make sure we're bringing our attention right back to our clients and we are addressing any ruptures that might happen. Technology changes the setting, but it does not change what a client is needing from us, especially a traumatized client. They are needing safety, they are needing attunement, they are needing stability, they are needing predictability. They need us to notice subtle shifts when it happens. At the end of the day, virtual EMDR therapy is not successful because there are absolutely no distractions or because we found the perfect platform for BLS. It is successful because we continue to provide thoughtful, relational, client-centered care, even if it's through a screen. So instead of asking, can EMDR therapy be done virtually, I hope that the question our field gets to is, how can we provide EMDR therapy virtually in a way that is thoughtful, relational, and clinically intentional? And if you're interested in learning more about platforms like bilateralstimulation.io, some of their like secrets, tips, and tricks about using it, and even how to use it to increase taxing working memory, stick around because my next video is going to be exactly that. So make sure that you hit subscribe, hit that heart, and thank you so much for watching.